Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about My Wonderful Life. My Wonderful Life is a Polish drama that tells the story of a woman named Joanna, an English teacher who has a lot on her plate to deal with, as she routinely deals with the daily frustrations associated with her family members who all live together in the same household. One day, she receives a threat via text message, which escalates into a series of events that spill over into her professional life at school, and this leads her to try and reconcile different facets of her life while trying to avoid losing her patience from managing her family. At first, it plays out like a typical family drama in which a relative wants to escape the stress of living with multiple family members but knows they never can. Over the course of the story, it becomes more nuanced as it explores the background of its interesting protagonist. Joanna started out as a bit of a blank slate at first, but eventually grew on me. Details of her life are revealed one piece at a time so that the viewer slowly but surely comes to understand her circumstances without being overwhelmed by exposition. We also get to see firsthand the kind of impact that every family member has on her, which is something I'm happy to see. In most family dramas like this, some family members tend to get more attention than others, and thus some have less development. But here, every character has their place in the story. First, there's her sons, the oldest of which has a child and lives in the household with both his child and his girlfriend, who harass Joanna about wanting to live in her parents' former apartment. Meanwhile, the youngest does nothing productive and complains about having to do household chores. On the more mature side, there's Joanna's mother, who is suffering from Alzheimer's and thus cannot live independently anymore. And finally, there's her husband Vitek, who doesn't have the same passion for Joanna as he used to, made more awkward by the fact that they work at the same school together. Every single one of these characters gets their time to shine as they all gradually weigh down on Joanna with the burden of their sheer existence. Everything from the baby crying in the background, to unexpected inconveniences caused by her mother, to the incessantly loud music from someone's bedroom, all contribute to Joanna losing her mind. I actually felt uncomfortable at certain times when I was watching, because it reminded me of things that I used to deal with when living with family. Now, my situation wasn't anywhere near the same as hers, but this did help me to better empathize with Joanna on a personal level, even if she didn't always make good decisions herself. But while all of these characters have their moment in the limelight, some are presented better than others. Yannick, the youngest son, is especially wasted in this regard, as he doesn't do much other than mope in front of a computer and dance to music, and the hints dropped at the beginning regarding his sexual relationships never go anywhere. Her husband Vitek is also lacking in depth. He's bored with being a principal at his school, but he doesn't do much in his role that would convince someone of his position, and never takes much initiative to do better. The movie also makes him out to be someone who is falling apart, but to me he seemed like the most normal person in the movie. As you could guess, there's a lot of drama that surrounds the family, though it does take a while to build up properly. Because of this, the movie does run the risk of becoming boring early on, but in my view, I think it works in the story's favor. It allows more time for the audience to take in its setting and characters and how they all affect Joanna. There's an intentionally dull atmosphere conveyed throughout both her professional and personal lives that allows the viewer to get a full sense of what she's going through. In this way, Joanna becomes more relatable as a character, not just in her struggles, but also in how she chooses to escape them. She frequently avoids her family by going to her parents' old apartment and doing everything from teaching students, smoking weed, and even having an affair. This humanizes Joanna's character and shows that even the most hardened people need to have a break now and then. And while I don't necessarily agree with some of the choices she makes to deal with her pain, I can understand why she decides to make these choices, and these choices change as she starts to reflect more on her actions. The near constant apartment visits do get old after a while, but thankfully the dramatic hook involving the blackmailer helps shake things up. It was interesting to see how she dealt with their threats as she started to lose control of her family and work personas. Visual evidence is shown with this as she gradually becomes more anxious, loses her ability to drive effectively, and even has an unsightly rash break out on her face. And to make matters worse, her family and peers rarely, if ever, do or say anything constructive to help. If anything, they just pile more stress onto her. This light form of antagonism was a great way of helping me become attached to Joanna's character, though if I'm being honest, the final reveal of the culprit behind the threats was extremely disappointing. The reveal can be seen coming fairly early on in the movie, and I just didn't understand what they were supposed to get out of it in the end. My favorite thing about the movie is how Joanna's work as a teacher was portrayed. As an educator myself, I can safely say the filmmakers did a fantastic job of capturing the essence of the more mundane aspects associated with teaching and how people can't escape them, especially when it came to the attitude of the students. moments. There's one scene where a student causes trouble when Joanna has to leave class for a moment, and when she comes back, the student doesn't even show remorse for their actions. I've seen this exact same attitude many times in schools, which helped me empathize with Joanna's frustrations even more. Unfortunately, that same student doesn't develop much outside of that incident, which is a shame because it feels like the filmmakers wanted that character to go somewhere in the story, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't happen, so they feel more like an accessory to the story than anything else. As far as technical presentation is concerned, it's a bit barren since there's more of a focus on drama, but there are some things to pick away at. For example, there's very little in terms of soundtrack, and when it does play, it's usually the same song associated with Joanna at school or at home, which is a good way of signifying how every day feels the same for her. They also did a great job with the cinematography and how all the shots were filmed in general. There's a lot of close-ups used to show characters' reactions, particularly with Joanna, in which she's often framed in such a claustrophobic manner that it emphasizes her anxiety, which grows the longer the movie proceeds. And as unsatisfying as the ending turned out to be, both during and after the culprit's reveal, there is an awesome argument scene that occurs beforehand that serves as a culmination of everything Joanna has been through. I won't spoil anything about it, but it was pretty cathartic to put it mildly. Overall, My Wonderful Life is a good drama film that explores the impact that family relationships can have on people, for better and for worse. If you enjoy family-oriented dramas that also serve as a character study of a woman's journey of balancing family and career, you should definitely check this one out. It does have some flaws with its supporting characters, but they never get in the way of the bigger picture. Its strong lead character and thematic presentation provide a unique look into the family dynamic, and it's a perspective that I think many people can relate to, at least to a certain degree. What did you think about this movie? Were you absorbed by the journey of its central protagonist, or did you find it a bit too much on the slow side? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of My Wonderful Life. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part where next time I review the Danish survival thriller Against the Ice. Bye bye!